I'm Scott Giles, and I'm a certified hypno coach, and I'm a diplomate of the National Guild of Hypnotists. And today, I want to answer a question that a viewer gave. The viewer said that, what do you do in those circumstances when everything in your life just seems to be going completely to hell in a handbasket? You got laid off at work, the doctor says you got cancer, the dog dies, your partner breaks up with you and runs off with an aerobics instructor. What do you do? Now, I think every human being alive at some time has that experience of thinking that everything is just going wrong, and we got a spate of bad luck. When that happens around our family, Lindsay and I have a joke that we tell each other. It's time to sacrifice a chicken to a forgotten god. Now, we don't actually sacrifice chickens, but the point being that something weird seems to be going on, and you wonder if it may in fact be some sort of spiritual intervention. Well, no, it's not spiritual intervention. When everything seems to be going haywire, there are some things I would suggest. First, conduct a self-audit. If you can do this yourself, if you have enough insight, that's great. If not, turn to a therapist, a life coach, a clergy person, but ask yourself candidly whether or not you're actually doing something that might contribute to this problem. Are you making systemic mistakes? Are you always tardy or late? Are you not saying no enough? That could be a hard one because it takes more energy to say no to someone's request than to say yes. But if you don't say no enough, you don't have space in your life to say yes to the things that you really want to say yes to. So are you doing something that is causing or contributing to why everything's gone haywire? And if yes, then, work on that. Go into coaching, go into therapy, do whatever you need. But work on that and correct those behaviors. The next thing I typically ask clients who are in the situation of having everything go haywire, what's your self-care like? What's your recreation like? And often they'll say they don't have any. Stressed and exhausted people make mistakes and do dumb things and don't realize. And if that's what's going on, the very best thing you can do for yourself is take a break. Go anywhere. Look at 4 different walls, look at a different landscape, but go somewhere other than your common environment and just don't work for a while. When you get to a situation like this, where everything seems to be misfiring, you typically can't work your way out of it. Something else is going on, and you need to either let time pass, or you need to stop doing something that you're doing, or you need to just take better care of yourself, come back and get a better perspective. Now, neither of these apply if you're not doing anything which is contributing to the problem, and if your self-care is decent. How do you regard the situation where everything's going wrong? Well, the rule that I would suggest is you want to avoid magical thinking. The human brain, the mind, makes connections between things. It's very basic function. Makes the world meaningful by trying to connect the things that we experience. But just because it's connected something in your consciousness doesn't mean it's actually true. You stepped on a crack, and that isn't why your mother's back got broken. You lost your lucky rabbit's foot, but that isn't why there was a layoff at work. So don't let yourself assume these false causal relationships. You might just be in a period of statistical fluke, where bad stuff is happening to you due to no cause of your own, and no, there's no spiritual intervention trying to harm you here. There isn't some ritual you forgot to perform. Don't get superstitious. A useful thing that I find helpful is, my wife calls this harvesting your happies wherever you can, and I've talked about it before. The human brain is wired in such a way that it favors a negative expectation. Cautious creatures tend to survive, and they survive and pass on the fearful genes. So their descendants become easily frightened and more cautious. But at this point in evolution, all of us are looking out at the world through smell-colored glasses. All of us are seeing the world with a negative distortion. In your brain, 2/3 of the chemicals it uses to regulate your functioning are involved in the transmission of fear. So there's not just a neurological, there's a biochemical predisposition to favor a negative expectation. Given that, and given the mind's instinctive desire to build connections between things, you start convincing yourself that the reason misfortune has come is because of these strange things that are happening to you, things that you did or shouldn't do, your rabbit foot or whatever. But they're not. That's superstition, that's not reality, and that's certainly not science. The way out of this is to change the biochemistry of your brain to the degree that you can. I'm going to suggest 2 techniques. The first actually comes from the Alexander Hicks material. That's a very new age source for the material, and I do not follow the Alexander Hicks material with their metaphysical presuppositions. But I think some of the psychological techniques they recommend are useful. And they have one called the Creative Workshop. As you go through your day, make it a point to notice nice things. Even if it isn't specifically nice about you, but you saw a really magnificent butterfly. At my clinic for cancer patients this morning at Little Company of Mary Hospital, one of the participants said that she's an artist, and she was walking and she saw a tree with this beautiful shelf mushroom on it. And she said, that's just beautiful. Notice the happy, beautiful things in the world, even if they don't directly concern you. The Hicks call moving this into your creative workshop. And then periodically, just be quiet. You don't have to go into a trance, you don't have to meditate, but just ponder all the nice things that you've observed. The beautiful meteor of snow on the lawn after the first snowfall of the season. The colors in a duck's neck. This pushes your brain to a different biochemistry and to some degree counteracts the negative brain. The other technique that I use, and we teach it to almost all of our clients here at our practice, is called attitude breathing. It's a technique actually created by the HeartMath Institute. I'm credentialed by them. And if you're curious about it, Google that and you'll find material that HeartMath has published. But basically, we start by focusing on the heart, because the whole basis of the HeartMath approach is the proposition that the heart processes information independently of the brain and then transmits that information in digested form to the brain. So focus on the heart. Imagine your breath is flowing through the heart and then flowing out through the solar plexus. This is actually an ancient technique of yoga. And after you've kind of imagined that, you inhale what you want to have in your world and you exhale what you don't want to have. I inhale success, I exhale fear. I inhale confidence, I exhale doubt. That sort of thing. I find this technique to be so helpful. I do it every afternoon. I actually have on my daily task list that automatically recurs 5 or 10 minutes of attitude breathing. There's always time in my day when I can fit that in. And what this does also is it changes the biochemistry, helps the cortisol extinguish, produces a little bit of DHEA, your body's vitality hormone. You got to fight against the biological, neurological, and biochemical tendency to connect things and have a negative expectations that shouldn't be connected and a negative expectation that is distorted. Thank you very much for paying attention today. I really appreciate it. I will be back next Saturday, 2:30 Central Time, with another talk, and I'll be talking about decluttering. I've done that one before, but I'm going to do a special thing here. I'm going to talk about a particular decluttering guru, Marie Kondo, and her idea of sparking joy. And I hope you'll find it of interest. If you like these videos, please hit like and subscribe, and feel free to share them. Obviously, what we do here in these short videos just scratches the surface of the kind of work we do with our clientele at the practice here with Dr. Bates and I. If you'd like to know how our work can help you be a better version of yourself and to deal with whatever stresses or problems you have, feel free to reach out to me. We give a half-hour phone consultation, or up to a half-hour phone consultation, for free to anyone who asks for it. So be happy to talk to you and see what we can do to help. Thank you much. Have a good one.